Hi, everyone. I wanted to take you into another battle talk having to do with York County's role in the Civil War. And this one has to do with the Battle of Hanover. And for reference, I wanted to start with this. Taking a look at a little York County map here, you have York City in the middle. The Confederates invaded York City on June 28th of 1863. They took over York, asked us for all sorts of money, all sorts of goods. Then John Gordon moved on to Wrightsville out here and tried to take the Wrightsville-Columbia Bridge so they could get across the bridge into Lancaster County and then move towards Harrisburg, try to take that railroad junction of Harrisburg. So we have those two reference points here. Now, notice where Gettysburg is in Adams County there, but also one more too. I'm going to come down here, circle this a little bit. That is the area of Hanover, Pennsylvania, part of York County. That's where our next big action is going to take place. That's where today's talk is going to take place, in Hanover. Now, our objective here is to identify the importance of the defense made in Hanover in regards to the overall Union victory in the Civil War. Nobody that studies the Civil War studies the Battle of Wrightsville and the Battle of Hanover, Pennsylvania. They don't study that. But you have to realize, after we talk about this, that these things had made pivotal changes in the entire war. Like, these were pivotal moments here. And even though, like, big historians don't study it, it doesn't mean it's insignificant. It is very significant. And it just happens to be that it's a smaller piece of the picture here when it goes into the big picture of, like, Gettysburg and the entire war. But once again, York County made its mark and plays its role on the world stage. Now, in discussing this Battle of Hanover, we got to start out first with this guy and got to give him the importance he deserves. JEP Stewart was the most significant, the most important cavalry commander in the entire Civil War. That means he rides on a horseback, he swoops into battle, he guards the activities of the Confederate Army, but this Confederate leader was the best cavalryman on either side of the war. And Lee trusted him like crazy. Here's a picture of the two of the guys here together. But Lee trusted this guy like crazy, especially in giving him battle intel, in telling him where to attack. JEP Stewart would always say, he'd always scout the enemy and say, this is where they're weak, this is where you need to hit them. And then Lee looked like a genius because every single time he trusted JEP Stewart and he struck that exact area. He used that intel, used that advice to make fantastic battle plans. And it worked almost every single time. But JEP Stewart was always there for Robert E. Lee. But as we go into Gettysburg here, JEP Stewart's missing, and Lee has no idea where he is. Now, what happened with JEP Stewart is he was stuck in York County. Let's find out how and why. So, on June 30th of 1863, JEP Stewart is told, just like all the Confederates, all the Southerners, concentrate at Gettysburg. Get to Gettysburg as fast as you possibly can. And he was close. And I'll go back to our map. He's around Hanover, and Hanover is only about like 15 miles away from Gettysburg. And so he is extremely close, and he might just have like a half day's ride to get there. So he should be able to pull it off very easily. Only problem, the Union cavalry was right in front of him, right in his path. And so, well, JEP Stewart thought, fastest way for me to get there is to blast straight through them. Now, he's bold, he's confident, a little bit overconfident, so he decides to smash straight through the Union cavalry, thinking that he could pull off an easy victory, get his name in the paper, steal some wagons, have some fun, win a battle, and, well, it didn't happen to work out that way. So he smashes straight through the Union line, but the Union regroups as fast as possible. Their commander, I don't have his picture on here, but his name is Judson Kilpatrick, not somebody you hear about all the time, but Judson Kilpatrick in this battle, he storms with his horse as fast as he possibly can as soon as he hears shots, and he regroups the Union soldiers, and they take back the town. So the Union cavalry actually won the Battle of Hanover. Now, it's not the end of the story. The Union wins the battle, but JEP Stewart's certainly very, very happy. The guy stole about 150 wagons and all sorts of supplies, and we're talking about a Confederate army where many of these guys are shoeless. Some of these guys haven't eaten meals in days. These guys are hungry. These guys aren't very, they just don't have great clothing here now, and they don't have shoes. So they can use any kind of supplies they possibly can get. So they just stole 150 wagons, all sorts of horses, Jeb Stewart is excited. He's jacked up. He thinks when he gets to Gettysburg, everybody's going to just be like playing music for him, having a big party because Jeb Stewart just saved the day with all these supplies that he stole. And it couldn't end up being further from the truth. What Jeb Stewart does here and how he truly hurts himself is that he tries to now avoid running into any further Union troops on his way to Gettysburg. And so he goes from Hanover to Spring Grove to Dover to Dillsburg to Carlisle until he finally goes back down towards Gettysburg. So he's told by Lee, get to Gettysburg as fast as possible. Well, he wants to avoid another battle. He wants to stay away from any Union troops. And so instead of going from here straight to here, he goes from Hanover to Spring Grove to Dover to Dillsburg to Carlisle, and then finally to Gettysburg. What should have taken him half a day takes him 2.5 days, and he finally shows up after the second day at the Battle of Gettysburg. And Lee is heated. Lee is ticked off at him for the fact that it's taken him so long to get here. And in fact, it does have tremendous consequences because in the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, there are different situations where the Confederates could have taken full advantage of the Union if they had known the Union's weaknesses, but they didn't. And Jeb Stewart was the guy that found those weaknesses, but he wasn't there yet. He doesn't show up until almost midnight after the second day's fight on July 2nd. And again, once he finally shows up, Lee is not pleased. After you listen to me, I want you to take a look at this clip here from the movie Gettysburg, and you can learn about the reactions of Robert E. Lee when Jeb Stewart shows up. Again, Jeb Stewart thinks that they're going to throw a big party for him. He thinks he's going to be celebrated and win medals for what he got here. Not a chance. Lee is furious with Jeb Stewart. Now, to finish all this here, what I want you to do to go back into the Battle of Wrightsville as well as the Battle of Hanover, I'd like you to play the quizzes game that you see here. So go to the end of the presentation, click on that link, and head to the quizzes. All right, please let me know if you have any questions.